Hello, everybody. So, a thing has happened, and it's a thing that not everyone is the happiest with having happened. And it is the fact that Leeds United have lost another young talent to effectively a poaching club. It happened fairly recently with Finley Gorman. Finley Gorman, who was a very, very decent looking up and coming talent at Leeds United, felt like he would be one of those sort of. He was viewed as on a par with the Greys, which is at Leeds not a bad thing. I want to get the hair to behave before I dive into things, but it's not going to happen because madness. But whatever, it's fine. Um, and we thought, okay, cool, that's going to happen when you're in the Championship and when you've simultaneously got a fairly difficult route into the first team. However, it seems to be happening again, in which Leeds United, and this is from Baron Cross, and I'm going to open the article properly and give it a bit of a skim. Baron Cross has said that Leeds United's highly rated 16-year-old striker Oliver Poached is set to join Tottenham Hotspur. Now, I'll start by giving you an idea of how good Oliver Poached is. At the age of 15, he was playing in the club's under-21s. He is still an under-16 now, played for the under-18s last season, scored 10 goals, if I remember correctly. Very clearly a ridiculously good player, as far as anyone is aware. The issue that he's had, however, is that in the pecking order, in the queue, in the waiting to be able to play football at Leeds United. 1 second, I need to quickly jank about with whatever this is. Refresh that. Cool, that'll do. He's gotten stuck behind. There we go. He's gotten stuck behind first Archie and now Harry. He's in the grey train and no one else is particularly breaking through. You've seen that with the likes of Sam Chambers, who clearly, a player with a little bit of promise to him, isn't able to make the same sort of impact. And we all know that, when you're looking at a football club and you're thinking about young and good players, typically your mind will go to one person. It's very, very rare that multiple young and promising players simultaneously will be pushing their way through a team. And that feels like the entire issue that Oliver Poached has bumped into. Where he's gone to Spurs. Which for me, I thought was a little bit funny. Because if you are struggling to break through at Leeds United, which he is, let's be honest here, looking at the list of potential players that are going to be in the senior squad, Poached is a year or two out. And that's fine. Instead, he's chosen to go to Spurs, which A, has a stronger youth system, because they pick from a wider sort of population range. They've got the entirety of London and the surrounding areas to look at. Leeds have West Yorkshire. Significantly fewer people in West Yorkshire, which means that there's going to be less competition for you if you're coming through at Leeds United. But he's chosen Spurs because, of course, he has. Maybe about the money, I don't know. And at the same time, it feels like the specific ceiling right now for Spurs isn't through the roof. They're very clearly a good side. There is no question about that. They're in the Champions League next season. But they don't scream stability. They scream, when is Daniel Levy next about to set things on fire and do something wrong? Which isn't really a club you necessarily want to be moving into. So I don't quite get it. Evening Cup, this is your player manager game, not real life, who's gone. It's Oliver Poached, 16-year-old, was playing in the under-18s very consistently last season. Under-21s sometimes. Got plenty of goals in the 18s. Very good player, very promising. Has gone. Described by, and I'm going to quote the article here, those who coached him at Thorpe Arch have described him as a modern number 9 who can lead the line and play as a lone striker. Speed has been developed as one of his best attributes, runs off the shoulder of the last man, gets in behind defences. Played for England's under-16s as well, scored for them. Which, it's annoying. It's a bit of an irritating one. But it's one that I think we're going to have to deal with, because we're currently in the position of not being a match for the likes of Spurs when it comes to player attraction. Like I've said recently, and I've had it disagreed with me recently in the chat, that we are beyond a Brentford and a Brighton and various other clubs when it comes to drawing players, and we're just not at the minute. That's not where we're at because we've just gotten promoted. But yeah, that's where we're at in terms of Oliver Boast leaving the club. Harry Gray, it doesn't seem, is going to be leaving the club. I believe once is it 17 or 18 that you can sign a professional contract? But once he crosses whatever the professional contract threshold is, word is that he's going to sign with Leeds United and for a reasonably long period of time because it protects us, it protects them, it's fine. I hadn't heard of him, but your description seems informed, reasonable, so now I'm annoyed, not your fault. It's fine, it's all right. So 17, you can sign a professional contract. Yeah. I can see Harry signing a contract relatively sharpish, grabbing his spot for the extended future, and potentially making some Premier League appearances next season, which is going to be good. I've got cat hair in my nostrils, which is not necessarily what you want. That's the basics of the losing a young player stuff. The annoying thing is I can see it happening another couple of times in the next few years as well, because it feels like it's just what happens in football at the moment. You don't want it to be what happens in football at the moment, but when you're in a position where FFP is doing its thing, the clubs that are playing in European competitions see an opportunity for, let's aid our PSR a little bit, and they get to call a player homegrown and sell him for effectively peanuts. Well, sign him for peanuts, sell him for lots, which means that it turns out as full profit on their end, which is like, well, irritating. On what Wayne said a moment ago, yeah, we don't want another Archie Gray situation. I don't think we did too badly out of that situation. I think no matter what, Sly, you are chatting complete bollocks here. Archie, Harry's had minutes at the age of 15, 16. Come on, pull it together. With Archie, we're never getting £40 million out of any, like, tribunal, which is what the fee goes to in these specific cases. And we did, which was nice, and that helped the PSR. But people occasionally think Harry ears and nostrils they get older, that's unusual. That's a good question. That's a good question. You can say Joseph all you like, Sly. And fine, you can disagree on Mateo Joseph. However, right, we hop over to FBref. And we have a look at Mateo Joseph. Do you really want to tell me that he was performing at the right sort of standard? Because non-penalty XG per 90, 0.36. It's a decent amount of XG. You should be getting a few goals there. XG, no, not XG, actual goals, 0.21 per 90. So that's a lot of goals he should have scored and didn't. And that is all on the player. That's a case of, if you can finish, and that's how you earn your slot. And when you're in a position where you want to get promoted, obviously you're going to play your better players. If you don't play your better players, you're absolutely mad. You've lost it. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to toggle per 90 stats here, right? So, for a little bit of context on the Joseph thing, he was missing chances at the same rate as Patrick Bamford, give or take. And yet, you wouldn't be screaming for him to start in this situation. You can say Real want Joseph all you like, but there's no evidence of that unless you're talking about Real Betis, which is not the Real that everyone thinks when you say the word Real. But you can say that Leeds don't play youth. Show me other clubs that don't play youth. And that's not because he didn't get playing time. It's per 90. So per playing time. Which means that if he would have gotten more playing time, he would have missed the same ratio of shots. He had a chance. We had to get promoted and couldn't miss stupid opportunities. And he kept consistently doing it. You've got to get promoted at the end of the day. Would you rather we still be in the Championship, but we played Mateo Joseph 46 times, and you can be like, well, at least we play young players? No, you would be screaming for heads at that point. Like, let's be a little bit sensible about this. Where were we? In terms of other news, which I was going to cover, there's not been a ton, to be honest with you, over the past few days. So, for example, the hunt for Rodrigo Muniz is looking like it's very much going to be a no. Fulham want to keep him. It would take a lot to persuade him out of Fulham, which isn't an ideal position for Leeds to be in. It makes it very, very difficult. We're apparently getting a little bit closer to an agreement on Diarra, which I think is quite interesting. And I've seen a little bit of conversation around Callum Wilson. And I want to have that little bit of conversation about Callum Wilson. Not whether or not it's a viable thing, we'll find that out in the coming days, but more on the case of, is it smart? Well, you would argue wrong, and you would argue borderline insane, Sly. What will Spurs play for both 7 figures? Yes, Spurs. Boast will be a 7 figures-ish player, so I reckon it'll be low 7 figures. Like, it wouldn't be too massive. Oh, here we go. Dr. Cox, Wilson better than Bamford. Ooh, Callum Wilson. Now there's a player I like. It'd be a short conversation from me. No, from Mark. The thing with Callum Wilson, for me, is all he does is fill the exact same spot that Bamford did. The role of a forward that on their day, when fit and healthy, can get the job done. But on the other hand, when they're injured, you're not going to see them. And they're injured a hell of a lot of the time. And hold on, I don't want to position this so it's a little bit more comfy. There we go. And when that's what you're getting a lot of the time from Wilson as well as Bamford, and everyone's complaints about Bamford are Bamford's constantly injured, why would we go back in for another fairly constant injured player? Like, you can say Wilson when fit is a goal scorer. You know who else when fit is a goal scorer? Patrick Bamford, but he's not fit. That's the problem with both of them. Any Lyon players worth looking at have been relegated for financial reasons? This is interesting, right? And we're going to have a look. There's a few. The name that I've seen a lot of, and the name that I think I agree with the most, is the Georgian forward, and I'm going to see if I can pronounce this right, and if I get it wrong, I apologise, but I did my best. Georges Mikotadze, who is a Georgian forward who played, let's have a look, about 1,500-ish minutes last season. 11 goals, 6 assists. Those numbers are insane. Those are ridiculous, especially considering you got a decent amount of football in. For a little bit of context, outscored Lacazette per 90, which is a really good spot to be. When it comes to assists, he was their 3rd best player for getting assists, behind Rayan Cherki, who is now at Manchester City, and even then he wasn't like wildly behind him, and behind Thiago Almada. It was a ridiculously good footballer, and on the same level as Benrahma, while still doing the goal scoring that Benrahma wasn't. So if I'm looking at any player from Lyon, Mikotadze has to be it. Seen a little bit of people talking Tagliafico as well. He's not the most tempting, to be honest with you. When it comes to having fullbacks, you want fullbacks that can do extended periods of time. I've always been a little bit of a spot of preferring us to sign younger players so we're not, towards the end of their contract, hitting them when they are injurable or lose a little bit of pace. Bamford. And Tagliafico being 31 before we sign him is something that scares me a little bit. What's the keeper like? The keeper is Lucas Perry, who I will have a look at his advanced stats now. He's okay. He's nothing special. But you got to remember what you're going to come up against with the Lyon thing is they might also find themselves playing European football. So whilst it is Ligue 2, sure, that's not ideal. Oh, hold on. Juve should have scored there. Whilst it's far from ideal, it's 33 in August. Jesus, is he? I'm sorry, I've been lied to by FBref. Come on, brain. Where were we? There it is. They've got European football this season, which is good for them. And then next season they'll be back in Ligue 1 because it's not going to be difficult for them. So I don't really see as many players leaving as people think, especially for like players that are almost guaranteed a place in their national team. So Mikotadze, as mentioned, in my opinion, absolutely makes the Georgia side no matter what. They may not get European football yet. They probably will. Because if it's the Palace thing they're tied up in, like I think it might be, then what's effectively going on with that is shares in Palace are being sold to a different NFL owner. So they're not owned by the same person, they're not owned by the same body, and it's not going to lead to that complication. Which is smart. It's annoying, but it's smart. But someone like a Mikotadze, I don't... Yes, they've got a lot of debt to clear, but a lot of players they'll want to keep a hold of for that re-promotion push, for that European football. And I can see players being similarly attracted to that club, which is tough. 4-1 to City, by the way. But yeah. John texts the same owner as Leon and Palace. Yeah, but passed it on. Who's been poached? It would be Oliver Boast, under 16s player who played for the 21s a bit, played for the 18s a lot last season. 10 goals, I believe, in the 18s, which is pretty damn good for a 15 going on 16-year-old throughout the season. Yeah. Gone to Spurs, we don't know how much for, because that's to be decided by like tribunal and all that kind of stuff. After seeing what the fans like, I don't think any player's going to be loyal to Leon. I think some of them can be, though, that's the thing. Like, I don't know. A lot of it is situational, and it depends on things like their own personal experiences, I suppose, and their own experiences at the club itself. Because if, like, the staff at the club, the coaching at the club is something that they've really enjoyed, I think a season of absolutely pissing a league isn't going to affect it. No one's going to dance their way through League 2 and be too upset, I think. They can terminate contracts, etc. I think they might have to end up paying people off to do so, though. Because those people are still owed money because they signed a contract with the club. That makes it a little bit more complicated. They've got a big debt to clear, but once said debt is clear, yeah, the entire thing is very, very, very difficult for them. And like I would feel for them, but at the same time, we can take advantage, which removes that a little bit. They're looking at winger Dan James' contract still not signed. It will be in the coming days, as far as I'm aware. Maybe Tejan Buchanan. Why do you keep recommending Canadian players? Aside from your weird crack addiction to Jesse Marsh. It's getting bizarre now. Also, is he a winger? He plays basically all over the shop, doesn't he? You mean Buchanan, who in his last season got like a goal for Villarreal? It's not the best. Anyway. Right, it's only going to be a short stream from me today either way. I've just realised I've forgotten to mention the Leeds Creative Cup. I've been doing a lot of big prep stuff for that today and recently all together. So if you are not yet going to the Leeds Creative Cup, you can get your tickets down below. £7 for adults, £3 for kids. Just one is lurking, fair enough. At the John Charles Centre for Sport on the 20th of July, kick-off at 1 p.m. I don't know when gates open. It might be 11:30, it might be 12. I'm not 100% certain yet. But be there. It'll be a fantastic time. I'm looking forward to it. He was injured, so injury prone as well. Nice. But yeah, and there is the fact that you can also watch on YouTube if you can't be there in person, which would be massively appreciated. It definitely helps everything out a little bit. Saliba plays for Canada. Does he? Fairly sure he doesn't. No, he doesn't. The fuck are you talking about, Sly? He's got 28 France caps. You donut. Anyway. Yeah, I'm gonna leave the stream in a minute or so, just because I'm getting a little bit on the tired side. I got bits and bobs to do this evening. There's no one to ping you over to and raid though, which is a little bit of a shame. But yeah, if you haven't yet, I'd usually appreciate you popping a like on the stream, subscribing if you have not yet. One subscriber is 1 penny donated to Prostate Cancer UK at full time in the charity match. You could also become a channel member. It's $2.99 a month. You get a bunch of videos and stuff early. It'd be absolutely fantastic. Hope you all enjoyed. And I will see you later. Toodaloo, amigos. Who's the young lad who's moving? Oliver Boast. If you watch back from the start, you'll see it. Nathan Saliba. You're an idiot. Right. In a bit.